What's up?
What's good?
Not much. Chilling. Got Chantz on the pod. We're pumped. Chantz has no idea what to expect.
Not one idea.
How do you feel about your job? I'm just kidding. No, Abby'd be tuning in if that was the case.
At Abby.
At Abby. No, I'm just kidding. Man, so what's up? You have a good day today?
I actually had a great day today.
I thought there were still teams upstairs, so I went upstairs on my live stream and there was like no teams.
Nobody.
Well, I don't know. I know. I guess 6 is a normal time it ends, but I didn't really know what time it was.
Came in, I had some camps that came in, and then had some private lessons and did a lot of admin work, getting prepared for classes.
Yeah.
Did you have teams today?
I did have a team today. I had Pacers today.
That's fire.
Yeah.
That's fire.
Pacers
Brought it back.
Yeah. So, Chance, I am really curious though, because I don't really know much about you before I got here. Like, how did you even get into? Because you're a gymnastics background, right? So how did you even get into gymnastics? Did you do gymnastics as a kid?
So I always tumbled at the gym. My sisters did
At what
gymnastics.
gym?
Precision gymnastics.
Okay.
Is that here in Texas?
Yes, it's actually right there in Richardson.
Okay. Shout out Precision.
Precision. And actually that's where I grew up. All my sisters grew up in gymnastics. So I always tumbled. I did a little bit of it, but I wasn't good. I hated it. I always wanted to do sports.
Right.
But I always tumbled. I was always in the gym. I would try stuff. And then I actually decided, okay, I'm going to go play football. So I played football.
Yeah.
With all my friends. But my sisters did it. I was able to get a job when I was 15, 16.
At the gym?
At the
like
gym.
just helping out?
Yeah.
Or like what kind of stuff were you doing?
So I actually started off, so funny, coaching tumbling with David, who works here.
David Saragosa?
Yeah.
That's fire.
That's funny.
So they needed an extra coach. So I was like, all right, I'll do it.
And this is when you were like 15, 16?
Yeah.
That's
so
funny.
I've known David longer than I've been alive. It's crazy.
That's wild.
But I started coaching with him and doing tumbling classes with him. And I actually started getting classes on my own.
Okay.
To teach?
To coach tumbling.
Okay.
And I did gymnastics, coached gymnastics classes. So beginner gymnastics, advanced gymnastics, and masters.
Yeah.
And then I graduated high school and I was like, all right, I'm going to go play football in college. Went through college, played football there. And then got a job. Hated it.
What were you doing?
I was actually a manager at Old Navy.
Oh, that's random.
That's so
Yeah.
random.
So random.
Yeah, so I was a manager at Old Navy.
Adriana loves Old Navy.
I love Old Navy. Best activewear.
It's actually, and it is, the activewear is really legit. But I was a manager there, but I always go back home during the summers or whatever to coach.
Okay.
So I would do camps and clinics and things like that.
So where were you working at? Which Old Navy?
Abilene, Texas.
Boy.
Holy moly. So is okay, so like I always say this in quotes, but like is Old Navy your only like real job you've ever had? Like is coaching the rest of it?
No, it wasn't. Actually, I took a break from coaching and I worked at State Farm. So I was Chantz from.
Okay, so hold on before we get there. So from Old Navy, then what happened?
So
You'd come home.
I would come home for the summers, and then I would coach while I was here, do private
Yeah.
lessons and do classes and things. And then I was in college, and I ended up getting engaged.
Okay.
And I decided, well, I hated life, hated being at Old Navy.
Yeah.
And
Aw, poor Old Navy.
but I was talking to my mom one day, and I guess she had me on speakerphone, and I hung up the phone, and literally 5 seconds later, Bill, who is the owner of Precision Gymnastics, is like, "Come on back. We need you. Come back.
Like full
come
time.
coach full time for
Come
real,
coach
like
full-time.
an adult.
He's like, "We need you." And I was like, "All right, cool." So I came back and I started coaching teams again. Coaching teams. I coached classes, and then it kind of just blew up from there.
So you never actually like did gymnastics. You just literally started coaching.
Well, you were tumbling.
That's
and
I was
stuff, but you
tumbling
never
and
like
stuff.
enrolled.
I
Yeah,
never
that's
was
what I'm saying.
I never really was competitive like that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
kind of cool
That's so
actually.
cool.
Because I feel like most people graduate from being an athlete to being a coach, but that's cool that you literally
How many years were you at Precision?
I was at total since I started coaching at 16. I was there back and forth until I was, 34? So I was there till 31, 32, 33.
Dang.
Okay, so
Yeah.
So
how did we transition from gymnastics to cheerleading?
how did you end up at Mustang?
Yes.
Funny story is actually, so I was working at State Farm,
Oh, so you left.
left Precision, went to Infinite Bounds for a year, and was the head coach there, and kind of COVID hit.
Yeah.
So I left.
Yeah, because that was hard for everybody. Like, I mean, even us, we had to like cut hours, we had to cut classes. I mean, you had to cut salaries because there was no kids in the gym, so they weren't paying tuition. So then you weren't able to charge. So then how do you pay your coaches? A lot of people got let go during COVID, especially in our industry because of that.
And that's what's so crazy is during that time though, Brian, who owned Infinite Bounds, was trying to keep us there because he didn't want people to leave because he knew if once you left coaching, it's hard to come back.
It's like an athlete. Once athletes leave, they usually don't come back.
Correct. So, and that's what happened with COVID. A lot of athletes left the sport, and gymnastics is a hard sport to come back to because the grind of gymnastics. A lot of kids that were there for 6-7 hours a day.
Yeah, you grow up in it. You're there 6-7 hours a day.
And then when you stop doing it to pick that back up after you've been doing nothing for months. A few months, like that is hard.
Yeah, a lot of
once
kids.
You get on it's hard to quit, but once you do, you get on the other side of it. Picking it back up is almost even harder.
It is. So that's what happened. But he was really adamant about trying to keep us because he didn't know how long it was gonna go. Yeah. So his projects around the gym, but I left and I went to State Farm, and I was like, oh, I can, I have this degree, let me use it.
Yeah,
always.
So I was like, all right. So I went there and I was working there for almost a year.
Chantz from State Farm.
Dang, you could have been famous.
And what's so funny is about State Farm, the guy that works, that's Jake from State Farm, isn't an agent, just an actor.
Oh man!
No,
but the original Jake was an
yes, I heard this, that the original Jake from State Farm in the very, very first commercial was actually Jake from State Farm, and then they hired an actor to play him in the rest of them.
Dirty.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna take over the pod and be me. Just welcome to the World D33 pod. It's just like random white dude
who's an actor that just looks a little bit better.
I am Raul. Okay, so you were there for like a year?
For like a year. So I called a buddy of mine that actually was just kicking the stuff because I was bored at work.
Yeah.
And he was like, man, I've been trying to get in touch with you. He would do lessons at Infinite Bounds.
Okay.
He was working here. It was Leo.
Okay, I remember Leo.
Yeah.
I met him when I first came, yeah.
He was like, man, I've been trying to get in touch with you for a year. What happened? I was like, oh man, my bad. I got a new number, new phone. He was like, oh man, I'm at this gym now. It's blowing up. Like just like how we used to do it because he worked at Precision.
Right.
And he was like we used to do when we ran clinics and we ran classes, music was bumping. He's like, you need to come check it out. Like, man, I'm taking time off. I'm at State Farm now. I'm not really looking to coach. He was like, man, we would love to have you, man. Abby wants to talk to you, this and this. I'm like, yeah, Leo, I don't know. He's like, hey, I got another call coming in. I'll be, hold on. He actually put me on three-way with him.
Oh my God.
And that's hard too, because just like the athletes, it's hard. I've seen people leave the cheer industry, and when you get a normal 9 to 5 that you can rely on and it's consistent, that's hard in cheerleading sometimes because private lessons are inconsistent, coaching gigs are inconsistent, hours are inconsistent because of breaks and stuff.
Well, I think it's also hard when you have like a family and you have like a real life like outside of cheer because it's a lot to manage. I mean, cheer has such weird hours and competitions and traveling, and it's a lot.
And that's one of the reasons why I got out of coaching for a while, because I did have 2 kids and I did have a wife. So it was one of those things where I wanted to be at home more, and my wife wanted me home more. I wanted to be involved in their extracurricular activities.
And that's easy when you have a normal job, I feel like, because you can just go home.
Once I go home, I'm at home. I don't have to worry about work. But I actually hated it. But so I was like, all right.
So you get on this 3-way call.
Abby's at Camp Ozark.
Always.
And she was like, hey, we've been trying to get in touch with you for a year. She's like, where you been? I'm like, well, Leo didn't have my new number, this and that. She was like, I would love to meet you. There's no pressure. I want you to come check out the gym. I'm like, all right, well, I can come by, I guess. So I'm driving around trying to find this place. And I'm like, there's no cheer gym in this plaza.
Yeah. It's a weird setup here. It's a weird setup.
But originally, because I was like, this looks really familiar. Because upstairs used to be a club.
Yeah.
And I knew it as a club because I used to come here. So
that's hilarious.
I would come back from college and I would go to the club upstairs. But I went upstairs and she was like, we don't, no pressure. You can coach 1 or 2 classes. I was like, all right, cool.
Well, the good thing about it, too, is that you can always pick up hours outside of your normal job. So a lot of people that coach, have their normal job from 9 to 5 and then do a couple classes
from 6
to 8 or something like that.
That's exactly what I did. So I would do classes from 6 to 8. Actually, one day I would come in at 5. I got off at 5, but I would leave State Farm early, come coach a class from 5 to 7. Classes from 5 to 7 to do lessons afterwards. But the other day I would do 6 to 8. But I got into the groove. I was like, man, I really did miss this.
Yeah, it's hard because there's nothing like coaching. There's nothing like coaching kids. There's nothing like being in the gym. Like I've never really worked another job, so I couldn't compare it, but I couldn't imagine doing like a real job.
Yeah, my only other job experience outside of coaching is working at Chick-fil-A. And so that's not even like a regular 9 to 5. And I was around fun people all the time too. And I think, like you said, like the kids are so fun. They really do like keep you young. We say it all the time because they keep you in the trends and the energy and the music's blaring. And yeah, I can imagine why it's like, it almost sucks you back in. You're like,
and
okay.
It really did. And Abby sucked me in with her energy too,
Yeah.
right? So like she's always happy and wanting to be here. And I'm like, you know what? I kind of want to be a part of it. So I'm working at State Farm and I'm doing, coaching on the side, and I would do open gyms and it was always hype. And I'm like, man, I want to be here more. Yeah. So I was like, all right, what does more look like? So, and Shauna and Abby looked at me and smiled and like, do you really want more? I'm like, yeah, just show me what more looks like. Yeah. So they showed me all the classes I could do. I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm back. So they put the schedule together in November. I went to my boss at State Farm, which is still a really good friend of mine. Shout out to Jamie from State Farm.
Hey.
But she put in my 2 weeks, and I go in for classes start, and I'm like, all right, Jamie, I think I'm done. It's time. I'm going back. She goes, I knew it.
Oh, she had already called it.
She knew it, but she's like, I knew it because like all you talked about was coaching. This is what you love. She's like, I get it. She's like, I get it. So I'm like, but I've been here ever since.
So how many years have you been here at Mustang?
I started in 2020.
Thanks. So for like 4 years now.
So 2020, yeah.
That's crazy. And do you feel like, so like gymnastics and cheerleading was clearly super different. Do you feel like tumbling at a cheer program is super different than tumbling at a gymnastics program? Is it the progression that's different?
It's not it's the progression that's different, but it's the time that we spend on the skills and the little things. So, and it's crazy that it's not that big of a difference, but people forget that female gymnastics has multiple apparatuses. So tumbling isn't as big of a thing in gymnastics. Like, yes, it's big as you get older, but we focus on the basics for so long that by the time we get to the big things, it's easy. So
yeah, because there's so many more things to do that here in cheer, it's really like tumbling and stunning. So when you take tumbling class, we're not working on bars and beam and floor and vault and other things. So it's
just tumbling.
Yeah. So it's like your only focus. Where it's like, here, if you're not tumbling, and cheerleading, if you're not tumbling if you're not progressing in your tumbling, then people are like, we're not getting better. But like in gymnastics, you'd be like, I'm getting better on the beam. I'm getting better on the vault.
Correct. And that's why I loved it, gymnastics, so much, is that you can see a kid progress not on just one event.
Yeah.
Or if they're not really good on one event, you can figure out what that kid's really good at and progress them that way. But tumbling in gymnastics is really big. It's just the progression. Once you get to layouts, level 6, everything happens so fast.
Yeah.
You go from layouts to double backs like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
But the kids spend.
Well, it's because the basics are so good.
And I feel like there's a lot of focus on shaping. Not that there's not in cheerleading, but like you said, like cheerleading, it's either tumbling or stunting. Mm-hmm. And I think it's also with gymnastics. I think the biggest thing is that you can do your rounded back handspring tuck on floor for 2 years because you're also working your dismount on the beam. And so that's making you stronger also with your tumbling too.
Correct. And we work so much on conditioning in gymnastics, and we practice for so long in gymnastics that even the babies that are 6 and 7 year olds, they're in the gym for 28 hours a week.
That's crazy.
So they're almost at a full-time job, but so it's just, that's why the difference progresses. The way the higher level you get, the more hours you're in the gym.
Yeah. And that's what's crazy, because even if you do your team, one class and a private lesson, that's only 6 hours a week in cheerleading. And at your team practice, we don't really tumble. We stunt the whole time.
Correct.
Yes.
So you have to figure out your tumbling afterwards. But in gymnastics, you're literally there for 4 hours. The babies, for example, our lowest levels are there for 3 to 4 hours a day, 4 to 5 days a week.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Wild. Do you ever miss gymnastics?
And there's days I miss it more than others. I do miss vault and bars. Those are my favorite events. I do miss coaching it. I do miss the grind of it.
Yeah, because it's different. When you're putting in that many hours, it's a different mindset.
Well, I think it's also, too, when you're there for 4 hours, you can spend a whole hour conditioning. And, like, no kid's going to condition outside of practice on their own. Like, they have to. They're there.
And it's just a different environment. But there's days where I miss it just because of the grind and what the skills on bars, the skills on vault, watching the kids progress so much from literally nothing to, I guess someone
Double
else,
A's,
double A's, double backs, your Chankos, things like that.
Yeah.
So it's just watching the grind of that. But you get that in cheer too.
Yeah, you do.
Like you get that so much where you have a kid that's never cheered before,
Right.
that's going in and doing crazy stunts or just crazy tumbling. So you get to see that same progression, but I also miss seeing the kids and grinding, knowing that they're wanting to grind, they're grinding every day just like you're grinding every day.
What's your favorite event in gymnastics?
Bars.
Really?
Bars.
So scary.
It's,
I've seen people spotting people on bars, and it's wild.
It's so much fun though. It's so much fun because now you're in it. So like tumbling, you kind of spot the ending skill, right? So you're not spotting. Your kids usually either if you're spotting a back handspring, you're spotting a back handspring. In gymnastics, you're spotting on bars. You're spotting the whole routine sometimes.
Yeah.
So like you're shaping the whole routine. So they're doing cast handstands. Okay, you spot. You're grinding just like they're grinding. So you're almost in it with them. So
Like you're almost just as invested as they are.
You really are because you're literally spending your time, the same amount of time that they're in the gym, you're in the gym. Right. And cheerleader, that you can have a kid that you're coaching on team for 2 hours.
Right. So since gymnastics practice so much more, if you're just like an entry, like just like a coach, like an entry level coach, do you feel like you can get more hours at a gymnastics gym because there's more hours of training, or at a cheer program? Because I feel like in cheerleading, right, you work maybe 4 to 8 Monday through Thursday, so at 16 hours. You coach team, you could probably get another 6 in, so it's about 22 hours a week. Maybe if you do some open gyms, like 24, 25 hours, but that's kind of the average. Like in gymnastics, are people like putting in some heavy hours coaching?
So entry level gymnastics coaching, not so much.
But if you're like a team coach,
so
like
if you're a
now.
team coach, you're gonna be there for your whole team practice. So you'll probably be there from 4 to 8 Monday through Friday. You'll probably most gymnastics gyms, the coaches work everything. So especially at my gym, I would work my team from 4 to 8 Monday through Friday. I would have them on Saturday from 8 to 1.
Yeah.
And then I would turn around and do open gym on Friday from 7:30 to 10:30.
Okay, so you're basically doing you're being put into all of the roles, which I guess is good too.
And that's the same
thing. But
thing.
if they're training, I mean, what is like the elite teams training? What are the kids? How many hours do they train?
So say I would be at the gym. There were days I was at the gym from 8 to 8. So I would be there with our morning group from 8 to noon. This is when I was at Precision. I'll be there from 8 to noon, and then I would turn around and do a team from 4 to 8.
Oh, wow.
So do a lot of those kids, like you say like 8 to noon, do they homeschool, or are there any that come like after school and do like that 4 to 8, or is it depending on what?
Are a lot of gymnasts homeschooled?
A lot of gymnasts. The higher you are in gymnastics, it starts to be encouraged to do homeschooling.
Yeah.
Because you want to keep that progression going.
Forced.
Correct. It's not really forced, but it's encouraged. Right?
No,
So it's one of those things where, like, if you want to continue to progress at the point of you that you are, you're gonna have to put more.
Yeah, I guess you
in.
can't do 8 hours of school and then 8 hours of gymnastics in the same day. That's literally 16 hours. When are you supposed to sleep?
Correct. And
Sleep for the 8.
And do homework and eat.
But so that's crazy. That's a lot of hours, and most people probably are homeschooled then.
So once you get to like level 8 and 9, most kids are homeschooled. But the kids that weren't would do. There's kids that I had that would come in that would do off campus, but it would be in the morning. So it'd be their first period. So they'll be there from 8 to 10, go to school, come back 4 to 8.
Oh my goodness.
That's so much.
What's
That's
like
a whole different commitment.
So you said like level 8, 9. What's like the average age of those kids?
So it's anywhere. So I had level 8s that were 10, 11. I had level 8s that were 14, 15.
Okay.
But it just kind of ranges on their commitment. Once again, the kids that are going to school kind of stay a certain level for a while. Mm-hmm. And the kids that are homeschooled, they tend to progress faster.
Because they're there more.
They're there more. The more you're in the gym, the more you train, the better you get.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But the babies are usually the kids that move quick. The older kids usually stay.
Right. Do you ever feel like you'd go back to gymnastics? Like, do you ever like think about or I'm sure you have friends at like Precision and still some gyms like Infinite Bounds that probably offer you jobs. Like, do you ever think about like, could I go back to coaching gymnastics?
I mean, my sisters, my two youngest sisters, one is at Precision, the other
They
one,
stay coach?
yeah, the other two still
Wow.
coach. So my two youngest sisters coach. One is in Houston. I forget what gym she's at, but she's been at a couple gyms out there. And the other one's at Precision now. And still to this day, she sends me videos every morning of her morning group or her group that she has. She's like,
I love that.
She was like, hey, I need corrections. What drills can I do? Because I coached her some too. And she went to Utah State for gymnastics, but I coached her, but she would always send me videos. I'm like, man, I can go back. I can do it. I would love to go back.
Like you said, it's gotta be. I would love to have Mavericks in here, homeschooled, 8 hours a day.
Just imagine how good they would be, bro.
If I had the Mavericks in here, 8 hours a day, homeschooled, 5-6 days a week.
I mean, you
sheesh.
really think about it. I feel like sometimes we do the impossible in cheerleading because it's like we have to create the product that we do with 4 or 5 hours a week.
Correct.
Yeah. That's one thing that I do stick up for in cheer when people are like, well, the tumbling's not as clean as gymnastics, which it's not like that anymore. It's gotten really clean lately.
Yes. It's
gotten a lot
But
better.
we have to, in 2.5 minutes with 4 hours a week of training, do jumps, stunts, baskets, tumbling, put a routine together, memorize it. And again, it's with 4 hours of training. Like if we had, even if I just had 2 hours a day, if we had 10 hours a week, we'd be cooking.
And that's the thing, like working here and seeing it in person. Like I used to be that gymnastics coach. Oh, you're taking the easy road or
Cheerleading.
just cheerleading. It's the dark side. but like I would always say that. I'm like, oh, you're going to the easy. But coming here and working and being a part of it, I actually see it. It's just, it is not as easy as people say
I
it.
think it's also cool now too because you are coaching team now also. So you got to coach team in both sports and see the differences.
Because it's also hard too, not only, I understand the grind in gymnastics and that's crazy for those athletes, but it's hard for us as coaches to teach them so much in 4 to 6 hours. But it's also hard for the kids to have to learn so much in 4 to 6 hours, especially at Mustang when we have no summer. We've got to really crank them up. So they have to learn an entire routine, usually a new level almost every single year. That's why we try to repeat them, parents. But you know what I mean? So it is a lot for them also, because if they had 20 hours a week, they'd be further ahead
Because
also.
I think it takes that certain level of, I know you say it all the time, is like cheer EQ, and I think routine comprehension and just cheerleading comprehension. And I think, like you said, that's why we do the progressions we do of like our kids have to be competent enough, not just to tumble that well, but also to build on their stunts and everything else that we have to do in that 6 hours of, not even 6, I mean 5 hours of training. We get 4 hours with them.
And it just like I look at it now that I'm in it. It's to take a kid to make them not only a level appropriate kid, and the amount of time that we have is insane. In gymnastics, we have a lot of time, so we use the time. And sometimes it's too much time where we're like, okay, let's kind of play around and have fun, which we do that in cheer too. But it's one of those things where like you're going, and it's so fast paced that it's a different world than gymnastics.
Yeah.
And I've grown to appreciate it, to think about, like I used to think it was an easy way out. It's not an easy way.
It's so much more different.
It's not easy or harder. It's just different.
Well, it is funny though, because I feel like a lot of people compare cheerleading and gymnastics, and really the only thing that overlaps in the two is tumbling. Other than that, it's apples to oranges. It's very different sports.
Do you feel like, because I don't have kids, so do you feel like cheerleading or coaching in general is hard with a family, like schedule wise?
It can be. I mean, I have a wife that's amazing, who definitely helps with the kids and their schedules better than I could ever. But with being kids and having their activities, granted, my daughter does this, so I get to spend. It helps because her activities are scheduled when I'm here, so it's crazy. But my son, on the other hand, plays every other sport known to man. So her keeping up with his schedule and letting me know, and I coach his local league football team. Shout out Panthers. But it is difficult, and it's.
Do you feel like you miss a lot of stuff on the weekends because we practice a lot on the weekends?
I do, and it's especially during competition time, because he does play spring sports, so a lot of his games I miss, or because I'm having to either be here or a competition, or it is hard, but I have a spouse that makes
able to make it work.
That makes it work, and she steps up and does that because unfortunately I can't.
Yeah, because you have to be here, and our schedules are so opposite.
So opposite.
We literally you have a different position because you have a director's position, but we're like 1 to like 9 essentially every night. And we're heavy Saturday, Sundays, and even Fridays. And
I always make the joke with other people. I'm like, I don't work a 9 to 5, I work a 5 to 9.
Yeah,
I'm literally
it's
the
like
opposite.
complete opposite.
It is. And it's one of those things where I appreciate it, but it also helps because the kids go to school. When they're in school, I'm usually here. Yeah. But it just sucks because when they're at home eating dinner, I kind of get home when they're in bed. Yeah. So kids, I'm getting night. And I'm still awake because now my body takes a while to shut down. My mind is still going. I'm thinking about, all right, what can I do better at practice? Or what can I do better with this class? What can I do better?
Well, that's what I always explain to people. Like, it's really hard to go to bed at 10 or 11 when you don't even get home. If we stop at 9, we don't get out of here till 9:30. You don't get home till 10:30. Like you said, by the time you eat, shower, get ready for bed. I mean, if you're asleep before midnight, it's crazy.
It's crazy. And I tend to crash. Like I
you
go
still
sit
get
on
up
the couch.
early, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Oh no.
I have to get the kids ready. I take my kids to school since
I love that.
I can't be home to pick them up from school. I take them to school, so it's always.
What time do you get up to do that?
About 6.
Oh my goodness.
In the morning?
Okay, give us like day in the life of Chantz.
So wake up. Well, my wife wakes me up
During the school year.
during the school
Yeah.
year. So my wife makes me up because she's a teacher, and she starts getting dressed, and I can hear her get up. I feel her get up, so I get up. I go get the kids. Wake them up. All right, you have to start.
It's like,
getting
what
up.
time is this?
This is probably at 6:30 because
Okay.
we're butts in the car by 7:15
Dang.
at the latest.
Wow.
So we get them in the car at about 7:15. I take them to school because she's already gone at school at that. By the time I get them in the car, she's already at school getting ready for her day. So I get them ready, get them to school about 7:30, 7:45, and then I either go back home and try to chill and take a nap before having to be here.
Hey.
That nap would be clutch.
Before being here, because I'm usually here from 11 till I leave.
Yeah,
it just
till 9,
it just
depending what
depends on the
happens.
day.
Yeah. Something blows up.
Boy. So I'm here usually about 10, 11. So I usually go home, take a nap, probably shower. There's days I go to the gym because I'm getting fat. So I'll go to Lifetime and work out. But other than that, man, it's just
It's a long day. I mean, that's like 6 a.m. to like 9, 10 o'clock every night.
bro, and I usually I try to get home at 9, but there's days I'm here till 9.
Well, it's hard because we can get off at 8, but then if you don't do private lessons, then you don't eat.
Exactly.
So it's
Boy,
like you got to do the private lessons.
You definitely feel the difference. But so you knock that out, get out at 9, and you head home. By the time I get home, it's probably 9:30, 9:45, and I eat, kind of watch TV, try to get my mind to stop going, which it doesn't.
Yeah, you gotta chill.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard. You can't just eat and go to bed.
No,
Like,
no. So I'm watching a show on Netflix or Hulu or YouTube, and then I'm kind of just sitting there, sitting on the couch because my wife is already asleep. The kids are asleep, so I'm just twiddling my thumbs. Might play a video game or two, but then I lay in bed. I'm just looking, but I probably go to bed probably about midnight, 1 o'clock.
and then
That's
wake up
hard.
at 6.
Yeah,
That's
wake
tough.
up-
That's
wake up at
tough.
6.
We learned that with Highland Park when we were practicing at 6 a.m.
Bro, that's hard.
Dude, it killed me.
It's hard.
I couldn't do it.
Well, it was
Never.
hard because it was very like, we had to get off, go home, eat, go to bed. Like, because we had to be up at 5:45 for
And like
HP.
you said, you get home and it never turns off because you're thinking about your team, you're thinking about your private lessons, you're thinking about an injury, you're thinking about a kid that struggled today. I mean, it just never really ends.
You think about a phone call that you might have to make, or even when it was in gymnastics, it was the same thing. There were teams that I would literally be done coaching at 8, but I would sit there at the gym till about 9.
Well, that's also, though, I think the beauty of coaching is that you really do get so invested. It's so personal, and you get to know the kids and you get to know the families. And I think that that's what makes coaching so great, though, is that you take it home and you really do we think about it all the time. Like, so.
We got 2 questions. One from Maddie Hayes. Why do you pay so much in childcare? I don't know where that
What?
came from.
All right, so we have a 6-month-old baby, and my wife starts teaching. Has to go back the first week in August, and of course my schedule is crazy. So keeping her with one of us is impossible.
Yeah, that's the hard part. If you have a young kid like that, that's not going to school, when your wife has a 9 to 5 and you have a 5 to 9,
Correct.
basically.
So our schedule is so opposite, but it's just it's crazy. But we went and toured a couple of daycares. One that the kids went to, but we were like, this isn't it anymore. Just, you know, that we love the people that were there, but it wasn't it. And granted, that was expensive too. But this daycare that we loved went in and it was amazing. It's pretty expensive.
What is it? Hit us with the price tag. What's the price tag a month?
The price tag a month for this 6-month-old infant is $1,300.
Golly! You could be driving a Bentley.
But yeah,
can you send the baby back?
I'm sure. Push it back, right back. Jesus, take her. No, I'm just kidding. No, but no, we that's what it is, and that's what the price of childcare is now.
So expensive.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
so expensive. Granted, it is, you know, the ratio in the classes.
No, it's great. I'm sure it is. And someone's taking
Well, and
care
it's
of your
also
child.
literally somebody taking care of your
my
baby.
baby for 8 hours. So, but you know, it's a blessing that we're able to do it.
Yes.
And you know, I was trying to figure out a way.
So
not
book
to do
private
it.
lessons, guys.
Hey.
Contact Chantz
Yeah,
at.
that is crazy. I'm obviously I don't have kids, so I don't never price childcare. But I have friends that coach and have to get childcare. My friend Madison's always talking about it, and my friend Courtney used to talk about it, and she had 2 in childcare.
Yep.
And I was like, I would have got a whole new house with that price.
Boy, that we had 2 in there at one point. We had Ambry, because Ambry and CJ are 2 years apart.
Oh man.
So when Ambry was in pre-K, CJ was, you know, basically an infant class. So we're paying almost $2,000 a month. Just childcare, bro.
That's
Sheesh.
crazy. All right, second question from Evie Barsati. I saw her today, by the way. She hadn't been here in like 4 months. She said, "Who's your favorite?"
Just period.
Okay, so that's an impossible question to answer. I know that as a coach, but what type of athlete is your favorite to coach?
My favorite kind of athlete is a kid that not only loves to be in the gym, but loves to grind in the gym.
Yeah.
I mean, there's times where, you know, we always make it fun, but a kid that loves the day-to-day and likes to see themselves progress,
Right.
and knows that takes work.
Yeah.
And puts in that work. And
It's always those kids that set goals that come in and they're like, man, I really want to get this full today. I want to get my back handspring. And like you said, they love being here and then they're excited about the ups and the downs and the failures and just pushing it. That's always my favorite.
And they'll do whatever it takes.
they do whatever it takes. And it's one of those things where they're also the realistic ones that know that, okay, I want this full, but it's going to take time.
Yeah.
That knows
The
that
realistic ones are the best because a lot of times you have to understand that you're not going to always get the skill. Just because you set your mind to it and we work really hard, it might not be that easy.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't have to be today. There's not a specific timeline for certain things. So the kid that knows that I have to put in the work and grind for this are the ones that I like to coach.
Yeah. It's just,
Agreed. That's good.
all right. Well, Coach Chantz.
Sorry, I have one more thing. Sorry, no, it's not a question. Well, kind of. You said you want to go back to maybe coaching gymnastics or you could or whatever. So if we had like a staff gymnastics open gym, would you coach us?
I would love to coach.
That
a
would
gym.
Could you
be
imagine
so. That'd be great content.
Granted, there are gyms in the area that do adult open gyms.
God.
Bro,
We should go
we
one
need
day.
to go.
There's a couple. There's Rogue Gymnastics that does it, and there's another 2 I can't remember, but they do on Sundays.
We need to check that out.
Yeah.
They do.
And come coach us through some bars or something.
Oh my gosh,
Darren would love
please.
it.
Oh.
Yes. Me, Darian, Roll, Chance. Make it a video.
You know what? I probably could figure out a way. I know a way to go to my old gym, Precision,
That'd be fun.
and go knock that out. We have a pit.
Sign
we have
some
bars.
waivers and go.
Oh,
Hey.
yes. That'd be so fun. Can
It's
we
good
please?
content for the gym.
Yeah.
Well, we literally do. We used to do it all the time. Just adults. All the coaches would go up and swing bars or go
That's
tumble
awesome.
into the pit.
That'd be
It
fun.
That was cool.
So much fun. That's actually I lost my first wedding ring.
Oh no.
We lost it in the pit.
Oh, did you ever get it back?
Oh no. No. I was doing I was doing double backs into the pit and it flew off. I gained a lot of weight before we got married. Lost a lot of weight once I got back to coaching. And the ring was too big. Did double back.
Are you digging in the pit looking for it?
No.
No, you're.
Oh, he's like, it's gone
We're not gonna
forever.
see it.
I was like, there's only one time I'm gonna actually see it, and that's when we clean the pit once a year. And we clean the pit. I think it got caught on one of the vacuums because we take all the pit blocks out,
Oh.
and I think it just got caught in
The ring belongs to the pit now.
boy. But
If you have Chance's ring, please return it.
hey, Mustang Cheer, it's here.
Yeah, that's fire. But all right, man. I
was
appreciate
good.
you on the pod.
I appreciate
Thanks,
you having
Chance.
me, man. Thank you.
You're welcome. That was good.